evening we are looking at for better, for what? Supporting your partner in tough times. Now, we don't need any prophet to tell us that the times and seasons we are in is very tough. Take, for example, in Nigeria here, overnight, we slept with fuel selling about 200 plus, and then woke up the next day with fuel selling about 500 plus in the part of the country where I live. And it's tough times. And there are a lot of men that have gone on. You see people taking to trekking, some bringing out bicycles. I love Nigerians. We have a way of countering every serious things and making humor out of them. I believe in my heart that that's part of the gift God has given to us as Nigerians that has helped to keep our nation in one piece. But what I'm saying is that we are in tough times. We are in tough seasons. And if we must survive this tough time in our relationships and in our marriages, then we must make a tough resolve to do all that is within our power to make our marriages and relationships work. Well, I know that some people have issues, especially on the day of vow, during their vow to use the word for better, for what? I know there are denominations and there are some churches that deliberately remove that phrase from the vow making on the premise that marriage is not for better, for worse, but for better, for best. Yet the phrase actually does not imply that the quality of marriage will deteriorate with time, but it actually implies that there will be times and seasons in your relationship, in your marriage, when things will not be going as expected, but commitment and loyalty is still required from the people involved in the marriage or relationship to keep it going. For better, for worse does not connote that you should have an expectation that things should go wrong or go bad with your marriage or your relationship. It connotes, however, that even when things are not going as planned, the love and intimacy between couples, the love and intimacy you started the relationship with should be maintained. The support from each other to make whatever challenge arising in the marriage to be a walkover because you are both available to give maximum support. So for better, for what means being consistent in and out of season. It actually reminds me of 2 Timothy chapter 4, verse 2. Even though he has season for us to preach, he said, preach the word, be instant in season, out of season, reprove, exhort with all long suffering and doctrine. So we are to be instant, consistent, in and out of season. In the good times, we are consistent. When times are not too good, we also must remain what? Consistent. Now, whether we like it or not, times and seasons comes in the marriage that will require the support of every party involved in that relationship to help you start. Now, the truth is, what actually is relationship meant for? Relationship is actually meant to give support. Relationship is another platform God has created to give support to us, especially in times when things are tough. That's the essence, one of the essences of what relationship. How do I know that? Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verse 9 to 12. I will read that. Ecclesiastes 4, verse 9 to 12. It says, two are better than one. Why? Because they have a good return for their work. Verse 10. If one falls, his friend can help him up. But pity the man who falls and has no one to help him up. Did you hear that? If one falls, the other will do what? Will help him up. Pity anyone that is alone because there's no support system for him. So relationship in essence is meant for support. It's a support system. Verse 11 says, also, if two like together, they will keep what work. But how can one keep them alone? Though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. Cord of three stands. Strength is not quickly what? Broken. Friends, all we are saying here is when you hear for better, for what? Don't think that and expect that your relationship will get bad. No. Expect that times and seasons will come. That you need to stand and be consistent in being committed and loyal to whosoever you committed your love to make sure that the person receives enough support to ensure that your relationship does not fail. Now we have some questions I want us to look at while taking this teaching. And the first question, or some questions, I will just mention the questions and then go on to start answering them. Now, the first question is, does for better for worse apply to just the married couples or to people in all levels of relationship? What indices from your partner make them worthy of the commitment of for better for worse? Now, the next question is, how do you handle a spouse who sees your support as a right and so does not show appreciation for whatever support you try to give? Now, how far should you go in supporting a relationship that is not yet marriage? That is for the premarital relationship. How far should you go? So let's get the ball rolling. Let's look at the first question. Is for better for worse only meant for married couples? The answer is no. Every relationship is primarily made as a support system, like I said earlier on. Any relationship that must stand the test of time must have people who are willing to support each other, not only in the good times, but more so in the bad times. In Ecclesiastes chapter 4 that we read verse 10, it says, if one falls, his friend can help him, but what with him that is alone? Now, whether we like it or not, there will be falls. Sometimes there will be what? Falls. There will be one type of fall or the other. Now, a fall that can mean a time of sickness. It can also mean a time of business failure. It can also mean a time of career setback. A couple, maybe the husband loses his job and the woman has to support the home. It also means a time of traumatic experiences, like the loss, the marriage paid for the loss of the child, or sibling, or the loss of a relative. And there's also a fall in the time of financial downturn. Sometimes these falls happen. Nobody prays for them, but they sometimes happen. Sometimes you see people have planned out their life. Now, there was a story that happened in Kaduna here. A man thought he had planned out his life. He had built up his estate. He had built up his business. He had retired and had an income generating system down everything he had. So that man at old age became like a man who never labored. That was financial downturn for the family. But now that things are turned negative does not mean they should go negative. That's what for better for worse means. It means that when things don't go the way you plan it to go, you should make sure that the fault doesn't make your family, your marriage work fail, or your vital relationship fail. Now, whatever the fault is, I want us to understand that one of the benefits of friendship or any relationship, meaningful relationship for that matter, is to give support, to give inspiration, and to give comfort. Proverbs chapter 27, verse 17 says, iron sharpens iron. So a friend sharpens his friend. So a friend is there to motivate another friend when there's a loss of motivation. It's friendship. In friendship, you motivate each other. You inspire each other. You don't run away because a friend has fallen down. You stand there to help the friend to do what? To pull the friend up. Proverbs chapter 17 also says, "His friend loveth at all times." A friend loves for what? At all times. And a brother is born for what? Adversity. So whether the relationship is friendly one, like in a premarital relationship or even in the marriage, because I actually advise couples to maintain friendship when they get married, or whether it's a brotherly relationship, whichever way, you are expected not to run away when things get bad. You are supposed to be there to do what? To give support, to give inspiration, to give comfort. So once you enter into a relationship, whatever level of relationship you are into, be ready to give support, be ready to give inspiration, be ready to give what? Comfort. Friendship is not a relationship, whether marriage or premarital. It is not only for the good times, because the friend of the relationship. You see, there's this common thing, I know many of us know it, that a friend in need is a friend indeed. So those bad times, those tough times, become a platform to test the strength of any relationship. Having said this, even though support is required at all levels of relationship, there should be a difference in the way you give support in marriage when compared to the way you give support before marriage. Now, when it comes to marriage, you are expected to go further than just what you do before marriage. Because marriage makes you one with whosoever you're married to. So there should be no limit to the level of support rendered in marriage. There should be no limit. You should go all the way. Now, I want us to understand that marriage is not a contract, it's a covenant. Forget the mindset of people entering into marriage like a contract. Marriage is a covenant and not a contract. And when we talk about a covenant, is a relationship you get into where you and the person becomes one, having God as a witness. When you enter into a covenant, you are committing yourself to be there for the person no matter what happens. When the person is weak, you come to help the person to be strong. When you are weak, the person comes to help you to be what? To be strong. So in marriage, I want us to understand you go the extra mile. You go the extra mile. You go the extra mile. You give your support all the way in whatever form of capacity as it is needed. It is for better, for worse. You show support in the good times and much more in the bad times. When all the chips are down, you stand. You make sure you don't go down. You are there to make sure your partner doesn't what? Go down. That's marriage for you. There was this pathetic story I heard. Why? Because I got into a place. I had this, toy shop I was running, and this little girl came into the shop, and it was like they got to know her as coming in to fix things. And when I began to ask what happened, I discovered that the father was doing really well, was doing very well when he married the mother, but along the line, he had a business downturn, and then their mother left and left them with him. So the man was left to be struggling to stand back and then bring up the children. So at the end of the day, he wasn't having enough time for the children, and the children began to speak devices. If you look at it, that's exactly what happens in the society. Most of the children that affect and disrupt society that come from failed marriages. And part of the reason for failed marriages, especially the children we are living with, is that when things go bad, some people don't have the stamina, don't have the strength to stay on and give the support required to make their spouses stand. Having said that, when it comes to premarital relationships, there are limits depending on the intimacy level of the relationship. Now, one aspect of support that could bring problems generally is what? Finances. Now, for the premarital relationship, please, I'm going to answer, just follow, and I'm going to sum up this thing together, because the answer I will give, you can apply as in your premarital relationship. Now, one of the areas that actually requires support that sometimes brings a lot of tension, the marriage, what? Money matters. Money matters as a way of disorganizing and stabilizing and making whoever is supporting to begin to get angry and begin to feel used and cheated. I'm going to zero more on the finances. Now, how far should you go in giving financial support in a premarital relationship? How far should you go? For those of you who follow the legal aspect of love, I'm sure you picked out one or two things, but I want to give a one line answer here. How far should you go in giving financial support in a premarital relationship? I said, give what you know that when it is not returned, or when the relationship fails, you will not feel bad, you will not feel used, you will not feel so hot and begin to grumble and regret that relationship. So how far should you go? Give financial support as much as if it doesn't turn into marriage, you will not regret or feel so upset and begin to regret everything you did in that relationship, that you will not be able to do anything good about that relationship. So that's how far we should go. And when it comes to, like I said, for marriage, if the two people in the marriage understand marriage as a covenant and see themselves as one, and they build that level of trust, I'll get into that later. There should be no limits to the kind of support they should give to each other. The next thing we're going to address, what are the indices if the person you're relating with is, to know if the person you're relating with is worthy of the for better, for worse commitment. What are the indices you should look at? Well, before I go on to give the points, I want you to understand, I want to really emphasize that a marriage is a covenant and not a contract. It is like the relationship between Jonathan and David. They were connected, soulmates, and they entered their relationship was so thick that it was a covenant. And because it was a covenant, Jonathan was not scared. He gave everything. He gave everything. And we can see that even after the death of Jonathan, David still remained committed to Jonathan's family. So that's what marriage is about. It should be so strong that two of you will have no limits to the kind of support you give to each other. Having stated that, let's go ahead and look at some indices that will determine if a person is worthy of the for better for worse commitment. So let's go. Number one indice that you must look out for is that the person is genuinely genuine. That means the person is not hanging around you for what he or she can get from you. You see, we are in a time and season where people have become so materialistic, where people have become so, limited relationship with what they can get and what they cannot get. Most people don't think of relationship as going into give. But you see, when God made relationship, what to be defined was what a giving. It made it to be a giving relationship. So you must look out. Is this person genuine enough? Or is this person standing around you for what he or she can get? You have to. You see, just get into a relationship and close your eyes. That's why relationship happens in the realm of the soul, where you have the emotion and the mind, so that you can feel and think. But most of the time, people just focus on the feeling and throw away the thinking. When you do that in a relationship, you're bound to make some errors. So, first industry you must look out for to commit yourself to be for better, for worse. Is the person genuinely genuine? Is this person coming around me for who I am or for what I heard? You can look out, and if you are sensitive, you'll pick out some off-handed actions, reactions, content from the person. Number two industry you must look out for is the person genuinely loves you. The person genuinely loves you. It's a soul connection. When there's genuine love, you find that there's less complaint about weaknesses. That's what good, because the essence of genuine love is to cover the weakness. The Bible says love covers the multitude of sin. If the person genuinely loves you, it doesn't blind the person's eye to your weakness, but it empowers the person to be more tolerant of your weakness. So you have to look out, does this person genuinely love me before I can commit myself to for better, for worse, to give my support maximally. Now, the number three thing is, does the person show interest in your well-being? It's important to check that out. Because if the person doesn't show interest in your well-being, it raises a red flag. Anybody that you must commit yourself to, where you want to give maximum support to in the good times and in the bad times, especially, must also, show interest in your well-being. If not, there will be abuse. There will be abuse of privileges. So you must check out the Bible in Proverbs chapter 11, verse 6, says, the liberal soul shall be made fat, and he that watereth shall also himself be what is watered. So the person must be somebody that has the capacity to water. Because if you're standing with the person and giving support to the person, if the person doesn't have a wealthy or interest in your wealth, what the person is standing, the person can walk out and leave you stranded. And that's what happens in your marriage. It's the reason why some people are beginning to doubt and question this support system in marriage. So does the person have interest in my well-being? All of this will help you know how far and how intelligent you should go about giving what the support. Number four, as the person show that he or she can be dependable, is the person appreciated. Number five. So all of these are some of the indices that you must, look out for before you commit, to for better, for giving maximum support with all you have and all that is in you. Now, having said that, I mentioned the last point that you must look at is the person was appreciated. However, I know that there are some people married to spouses who don't appreciate any support they give. In fact, the more they give support, the more they're supposed to complain. Now, how do you remain committed and give maximum support to an undeserving spouse? How do you do that? How do you support a spouse that gives whatever support you're giving in the right? And in fact, he will be asking for support as a right and commanding what she is commanding you to give that support. What do you do? How do you make sure that you don't lose your capacity to give the support and remain loyal and committed? How do you do that? Just tell yourself that whatever you're doing is not to make him commend you, but to make you happy. Do whatever you're doing, give whatever support you're giving in the framework of where you are happy. It's to make you happy. You're not doing it for him or her. You're doing it because it makes you happy. You have a right to be happy. And then do and give the support in the capacity, in the level at which gives you happiness. Now, the next thing I want to look at is, how do you give support to an undeserving spouse?
giving support to an undeserving spouse. A spouse who feels whatever support you're giving is a right and demands it as a right, you must make sure that whatever you're doing makes you happy. So don't do whatever support or don't give whatever support you're giving to expecting commendation. Rather give the support expecting what? Happiness for yourself. You have a right to be happy. And you see, I don't know, but I don't know if everybody's able, but you find that when you help people and you help people to stand and become better, there's this joy and happiness it gives to you. So do the support to make you happy. And in that case, you give the support in the capacity or at the level where you are happy doing it. Don't do it grudgingly. Do it what? Cheerfully. So don't allow the support enter into the realm of what? Grudgeful, support. Now let's go to the end of this teaching. That is, how do you support your partner through tough times? How do you support your partner through tough times? Like I said, honestly, we are in tough times. We are in tough times not only in Nigeria, worldwide. If you're listening to world economy, you are listening to everything going on all over the world. The system of the world is becoming harsh. And I tell you, the first level of people suffering the harshness is who? Families, marriages. That's why we have a hike in divorce rates. Even we have a hike in the tolerance level of people in marriage. We have a hike in relationships not surviving. We are seeing people trying to design different kind of marriage relationship, cohabitation, open marriage. All of these are like ways of trying to solve the tough times that come in marriage. But now listen, if we must make our marriage work, we must try to make it, run it in God's way. So how do you support your partner through tough times? Number one, be available with your presence. Be available with what? Your presence. When you have a partner that is going through tough times for whatever reason, maybe sickness, maybe finance, whatever the tough time is, like we mentioned earlier on, one gift you can give to that person is availability, your presence. Don't get so busy and avoid giving the gift of presence. In your busyness, yes, because maybe for whatever reason you are the only one standing and you are the only one there to give support, don't get too busy not to create time for presence, because it's one of the gifts you can give to that person that money cannot buy. So as you're giving many other support, one support you should not fail in giving is what? Presence. Be available. Some people, when things get tough, it's their own way of maybe trying not to break down. They keep away from the home. They start going to joints. They begin to maybe spend more time outside and then just come back home to sleep. When you do that, you're actually injuring the already wounded spouse. So please, one support system or what support you can give is your presence. Make your presence what? Available. Number two, support you can give in tough time is affirmative words. Be careful. You see, when there are tough times in marriage and relationship, there's actually a pressure and a tension. And you find the two of you struggling not to begin to regret the marriage or begin to feel bad about the situation, and then to give affirmative words. It be deliberate. If you were doing it before the tough time, increase it. Be more affirmative. Oh, you're trying. Oh, you're not doing badly. Don't worry, to soon be over. This will not last long. Don't worry, we are tough people, and tough people outlast tough times. You see what I do? You are giving words of encouragement, words of affirmation that will give the person the courage and the confidence to keep doing what? To keep moving on. Then I think it goes on. Added to the encouraging words, you need what? Right attitude. Let your attitude. Don't just speak with your mouth and your attitude speak otherwise. So give good attitude. Don't give that the spouse that is down the attitude that will make the spouse feel less human. So you must be careful about your attitude. Let your attitude towards that spouse be uplifting attitude that will make the spouse feel wanted, needed, important. Because whatever tough time that person is going through is already making the person feel not good enough. So don't, by your attitude, make the person not good enough. For example, let's use this: a wife who has a husband that has lost the job. Are you getting me? If before the guy was helping you to do a lot of things, in fact, you can send him anyhow when he was working, and it don't mean anything to him. But the moment you are the only one earning and sponsoring things and supporting the family, you now have to be very careful with your attitude. The things you would have sent him before without looking back and he would do without thinking now they become issue because he's going through what? A tough time. So don't just put the food on the table and say, hey, yeah, that's your food there, go and eat. Every word and every attitude become what? Very sensitive. So you must mind your attitude. You must mind your attitude. Attitudes that could make you, two of you laugh before might not fly this time because there are tough times. So you must mind your attitude and be more deliberate about your attitudes being what? Positive. And my point number 4, give comfort by creating a conducive environment at home. This is especially so for the married ones. Be deliberate and make sure that your home is comfortable. Create comfort. Make your home now a comfort zone. Conducive environment. Keep the home as neat as possible. Keep it, light-minded as possible. Let humor fly more in your home. Be deliberate. Create a conducive environment. That way you give comfort. You come in, your spouse is coming in, two of you are try and hug a little more. Times are tough. A hug can make tough become less tough. So create a conducive environment. And then number 5, very, very important. Don't do the blame game. Don't do the blame game. Now, what do I call the blame game? This is a situation where maybe it was your spouse's decision that brought about the tough times in the family. In the midst of the tough time, it's not where you should. Every day you are reminding that spouse that if not for what you did, if not for the decision you took, we will not have found ourselves here. And you are busy doing that every time doing it. The person, either the guy or the lady, already knows. You don't have to keep scratching a wound. The person already knows. He's intelligent enough to know that his or her decision brought the family to that situation. So don't start doing blame game. It's your fault. If not for your fault, I will not be here. In fact, I was telling you, and you did not do anything about it. Blah, 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 blah. Now, what are you doing? You are wasting energy. The energy that should build encouragement, the energy that should build self-worth, the energy that should build strength for the two of you to work together out of a tough time. You are wasting it in doing the blame game. The worst thing a family can do to themselves in tough times is to do the blame game. If you don't do the blame game, you are coming out of the tough time faster. Why? Because your brain will be positively activated. You will work as a team. And once you're working as a team, nobody can stop you. Look at Genesis chapter 11 now. When they were working as a team, nobody could stop them. Nobody. Even God himself said, if I don't come down, stop, nobody can stop them. So please, the blame game stops you from working as a team. In the tough times, don't play that game. It's not healthy at all. It will not help you overcome the tough times. In summary, you want to support your partner in the tough times. Give your time, give your resources, your attention, your money, sweet words. Call it trams. Trams. Call it trams. Time, resources, attention, money, sweet words. Friends, times and seasons are tough. Couples should be there for each other. Don't let the pressure of the times and seasons tear you apart. Don't let the times and seasons, tough times, toughen you against each other. But rather let the tough times give you a tough resolve to get out of this faster. Combine the force of oneness. Make the impossible become possible as you give each other maximum, support. For better, for worse, is the essence of every relationship. But more so in marriage. You cannot hang around the person only in the good times. And when things get bad, you run away. Or you hang around the person because you need the person. And once things get better for you, you destroy everything and leave the person. Now, if you are in a relationship, when things are bad for you and things eventually get better, please remain there. Don't run. Be supportive the same way the person supported you to become better. Now, if you were there when things were good, remain there to give your own support when things get bad. That is what relationship is all about. Don't be a fair weather friend. Be an all-weather friend. In the good times, in the bad times, be consistent, be present. It is for better, for worse. It is for what? For better, for worse. Remain loyal when times are good. Remain even more loyal when times are bad. it brings healing, and it makes the tough season shorter. The Lord grant you grace. The Lord grant you the wisdom. The Lord release grace, especially grace, because it takes a lot of grace to do this. And I think at this point, I want all those listening, be it a single relationship and even the married ones, because sometimes it's what makes the singles lose some friendship. You've been in a relationship waiting for maybe the guy to stand up, and the guy is taking time, and oh, I can't wait anymore. I can't wait. And then the moment you leave, the guy gets a good job. And now you want to come back, and the guy says, no way, you can't come back. Why? Because at the nick, you've stood though, but at the nick of time, you've lost grace to stand till the end. It is he that overcomes at the end that receives the crown. So at this point, for both the married and the single, we want to pray for ourselves. We want to say, dear Lord Jesus, give me grace to be the support system for my spouse. Give me grace to be the support system for my friends. Some friends, Lord, they were not ready to be support system for each other at the point of need. So let's begin to pray and ask the Lord to give us grace for support. I pray for all of you under the sound of my voice. I release grace upon you to be a super duper support system in your relationships, your marriages, and your friendship. You will abide and give support to the point of benefit in Jesus' mighty name.